So let me start by sharing my screen. Hello, everybody. My name is Courtney Espinoza, and I'm the program manager for the City of Fresno's Transformative Climates Communities Grant, or what we like to call Transform Fresno.
My TCC meeting of the day.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, there's Councilmember
Hi,
Arias.
Courtney. Sorry, I was kicking out the mayor out of my office, so it's his fault.
No problem. I'm going to just go through the translation, and then I'll let you give our welcome. Sound good? So welcome and thank you all for joining us for our Transform Fresno Outreach and Oversight Committee quarterly meeting. We do have simultaneous translation services available in Spanish, Hmong, and Punjabi tonight. All of our participants should join a language channel in order to listen and communicate with participants. So for all of us English-speaking people, also join the English channel too. That will help out our interpreters. First, select the interpretation globe at the bottom of the screen, then choose your preferred language. I will go ahead and start the interpretation after our interpreters give the instructions. We will also have live transcripts, subtitles showing on the bottom. I'm not seeing them being showed, but they should be showed. So now I would like to ask our Spanish interpreter to provide these instructions in Spanish, please.
Thank you, Courtney. Buenas noches a todos y muchas gracias por estar en el evento con nosotros esta noche. Hay servicio de interpretación en 3 idiomas el día de hoy. En unos momentos se va a encender esa función y van a encontrar el icono de un globo en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Simplemente le dan clic al globo y seleccionan el español como su idioma. Si están conectados por una tableta o por un iPhone, van a encontrar un menú de 3 puntos. Denle clic a ese menú, escojan interpretación idiomática y ahí pueden escoger el español como su idioma.
Thank you. And if I can ask our Hmong translator to please provide the instructions as well.
Thank you. Nhớ rằng sẽ tại tận này sẽ được số tàu là cộng đạt đến mà nó rất trong sĩ thảm mà nó bên mua bao họ lừa mua anh ký mua Spanish mua Hmong theo Punjabi. Nhớ đâu cả đến này screen đến nó nè bỏ ý họ lưu globe nè theo interpretation thì nên nhà con đời thì nên một sải nè họ lù nè yom long tới nè sao long lù Hmong nè thì nên nhà họ Hmong thì cũng mà lấy ô tô chạy được nơi đó nè im chỉ thì nên họ mua lù nó chỉ thì nên chặt tệ thì cũng mà lấy chạy được nơi thế để ô châu. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll go ahead and start the interpretation. I do have to stop sharing my screen first. Okay, so if everyone can choose their interpretation channel, that would be excellent. Thank you. So tonight's meeting is being recorded and publicly broadcasted on CMAC and live streamed at the City of Fresno's Facebook page. It will also be posted on the Transform Fresno website at www.transformfresno.com and Transform Fresno's YouTube page for viewing after the meeting. Participation in this meeting is considered consent to be recorded. Let's talk about Zoom. During the meeting, you will have an opportunity to comment and ask questions about the topics we're discussing. For those of you that are new to Zoom, if you would like to speak, please utilize the raise hand feature on Zoom or press star 9 on your telephone. You can choose the raise hand button under the participants section or by clicking on the reactions and choose raise hand. Once it's your turn to speak, you will be called on to unmute yourself. Here's the agenda for tonight's meeting. We're going to be doing something a little bit different tonight. Over the past 3 years, we have been offering project highlights and updates for the Transform Fresno projects for our community meetings. Tonight, we're actually going to talk about projects outside of TCC funding, but still within the footprint of Transform Fresno. There will also be time for a Q&A and general public comment at the end. So with that, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Arias for our welcome.
Thank you, Tiffany. And thank you to the committee for spending their evening this week on this important work. As y'all know, one of our primary goals when we meet is to make sure that projects are on time, on budget, and continue to progress with the intent in which the community selected them. So today we'll be hearing from the Housing Authority, the City of Fresno, the Central Valley Community Foundation, and Fresno Metro Ministries on a few critical projects, specifically the California Avenue neighborhood, the Brownfields projects we've been working on, the Drive Initiative, and of course, a couple of the housing plans that we have for the area under this initiative. So thank you again for everyone joining us today. And please, as usual, be yourselves, ask questions, get clarity, and help us as we continue to have this important work remain on schedule and on task. Thank you all.
Thank you. So just to go through a couple of announcements related to Transform Fresno, here's our save the date for our second annual Transform Fresno Summit. So this year, again, it will unfortunately be a virtual event. However, we are planning some exciting interactive sessions. So I do want to encourage everyone to join us. We had a good amount of feedback from last year's event that encouraged us to have this year's event on a Saturday. So mark your calendars, please, for Saturday, April 2nd for the second annual Transform Fresno Summit. Be on the lookout for emails and social media posts regarding registration and how you can join. Excuse me. Our next save the date is there's going to be some additional community engagement opportunities coming up. So the first one is going to be on April 28th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And we're going to be talking about design features for the Southwest Fresno Trail project. We're still trying to determine if the meeting will be solely virtual or a hybrid version of in-person and online. So please be on the lookout in your email and on the Transform Fresno website for details and dates for that one. The next one is the Fresno City West Fresno campus. Through State Center Community College, they hosted an art contest to choose a local artist to create an art feature for the campus's water feature. The artist was chosen. Her name is Teresa Flores, and she will be holding some sessions to gather nominations for West Fresno community figures whose faces will be featured on her mosaic around the fountain. These sessions will be held at West Fresno schools or community hubs in the near future, but dates have not been made yet. That being said, please be on the lookout again for those sessions. You can also contact the artist directly at the email shown on your screen to make your nomination, or you can check her out on her website on the screen. Another opportunity for community engagement is our Clean Shared Mobility project. Those meetings are held virtually from 5:30 to 7. The upcoming meetings are March 15th, April 19th, and May 17th. Again, notices will be sent out and posted on the website with additional information and links to those meetings. Now we'll go ahead and move on to our project presentation. So our first speaker is going to be Tiffany Mangum from the Fresno Housing Authority, and she'll be talking to us about the California Avenue Neighborhoods project. Tiffany?
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Councilmember, and the committee for allowing me to be. Thank you, Courtney, for all of your help and support. My name is Tiffany Mangum. Please forgive me for being off camera. It just indicates some technical issues. So I'm going to stay off camera so this can be as seamless as possible. So as mentioned, I'm Tiffany Mangum. I am with the Fresno Housing Authority. I'm the project manager for what is now known as the California Avenue Neighborhood Transformation Project and Planning Project. Next slide, please. I'm just here to talk a little bit about the ongoing work that we've launched officially about a year ago. We have launched this project as a planning project, for about 2 years now. So we've completed our first year, which was 2021. We are now in our third phase where we are developing strategies and conceptual options for the total plan. And just to back up a little bit. Our end goal with this is to develop a comprehensive transformation plan. That transformation plan, when we say comprehensive, addresses the three areas, high level, three areas that you see to the left of your screen: neighborhood infrastructure and design, housing, because housing is core to who and what the Housing Authority does, as well as addressing the people, the needs of our residents and our community leaders and citizens. So we definitely have a plan for bringing opportunities and services to the neighborhood and building and releasing a plan that addresses the needs of all of our residents and community members within the Southwest Fresno neighborhood of Can. Next slide, please. And so we're moving along in this planning work, and this right here, this slide outlines the core planning boundaries for whatever you want to call it. These boundaries are simply a mark, a footprint for purposes of our grant funding and HUD. But this, the work, the planning work, and all of the engagement work that's going on in this phase and throughout this process does, by intention and by design, will impact the broader neighborhood built around Edison High School. So this particular slide outlines, one, the boundary for the California Avenue neighborhood work, as well as some other very important efforts and entities and things happening within the neighborhood. You're looking at existing institutional, residential, and neighborhood spaces, open spaces, community spaces, also some potential mixed use areas that are within and around the footprint. You're also looking at potential multifamily and single family development. The Housing Authority has made it our business, of course, to do multifamily affordable housing. This CAN project will venture into not only just affordable housing, but a broad array of mixed income and mixed use housing, as well as some potential single family housing development as well. Next slide, please. So please keep that in the forefront of your mind. This is our CAN neighborhood. Right now, as I mentioned, we're in kind of the conceptual, developing concepts around our housing plan for this work. As I mentioned earlier, there are three core areas that will make up this plan. One is neighborhood, one is people, which encompasses services and opportunities. And then lastly, the housing piece. The housing plan we are currently working on right now. Housing plan, the question is, what is it that we want to accomplish within this housing plan? So our goals are outlined here very much in black and white: preservation of existing housing assets, specifically within the Housing Authority's asset pool, as well as the development of mixed income. So when we say mixed income, we're looking at housing being available for families and individuals at all income levels. So not just low income or affordable, but definitely we want to address the broad spectrum of incomes that are representative in the neighborhood. We intend to have a minimum housing development goal of 457 units of housing. Somebody might say, where did 457 come from? So here's just a brief breakdown. Within the framework and the requirements of what the grant and the dollars that we have pursued and have actually attained, we do have a minimum one-for-one replacement requirement of existing housing units, which are right now at 228. The intent is to develop, on top of replacing the existing affordable housing units, we want to also make plans to develop a minimum of 229 market rate and workforce housing units. So as I mentioned earlier, mixed income housing will cover a broad array and spectrum of income levels throughout the community and the neighborhood. We definitely want to add neighborhood serving amenities, respond to the priorities that we have heard from the community and residents. We also want to be sure that we are pursuing a plan and developing a plan that is financeable, or as it says here, financially actually feasible. We don't want to develop something that is just impossible for any funder or any level of investment to really attain and really implement. We want to make sure that we are able to pursue this plan with meaningful dollars and dollars that we can actually pursue and get. Where is housing possible within this plan? One, within the California Avenue neighborhood footprint. That is a priority, but we are also exploring off-site locations. When I say off-site, we're exploring other locations throughout the city that will complement this work. All right, next slide, please. And so there is just a high level, an expectation that we're not only going to replace the existing housing, but definitely add additional housing within the footprint, again, at all income levels. We want to be sure that we serve our entire community. So in addition, as I mentioned, we have a neighborhood and people plan. We have to build within, again, the transformation plan, which is the big goal. Here are some of the priorities that we've outlined and that we've heard repeatedly as priorities within the neighborhood and people framework. So definitely we hear the community responding and detailing to us that home ownership and single family housing is priority. We align with those priorities. Mixed use and mixed income development. For those who are unfamiliar with mixed use, we intend to bring a portion of this, a plan for some small commercial spaces within the footprint. Also expand upon existing as well as planned open spaces and community spaces. We definitely want to be sure that spatial equity and design is reflected within this, making sure that we are responding to the needs of all of our constituents and our community, but also making sure that we have a acute consciousness of how design impacts various different populations within our community. Environmental justice is a long-standing issue within West Fresno. We do intend to address some of the remediation needs and air quality needs within the community through this planning work, as well as transit mobility opportunities and expansion of those opportunities and existing transit options within West Fresno. Addressing health and wellness disparities, this is definitely a core element within our people planning that we will be launching pretty soon and shortly. Economic development and employment opportunities, we definitely want to be sure that we are planning for planning for investment, the expansion, as well as the development of small businesses, and also providing opportunities for community members to pursue a career and as well as education opportunities within our community and within our neighborhood. So working with Fresno State, as well as we're tied to the hip to the State Center Community College District in working to find alignment there. Next slide, please. Alignment there within our education and economic and employment opportunities. So some additional updates from the Housing Authority, just because we are doing a tremendous amount of work within the footprint of TCC, and just a few updates. We are looking at launching a farmers market within the neighborhood. We want to be sure that we are part of the solutions in providing equitable food access opportunities to the neighbors and residents living within the footprint. We are looking at some public art, a street mural, working on the plans and designs for that. Also, we have solar installation coming into West Fresno, as well as electronic vehicle stations that actually currently exist within the footprint, and a car sharing program that we hope to launch in a couple of months. And for those who did not know, the Housing Authority is the developer for the Monarch, which is located in Chinatown. And we're reporting from our team that we are 61% complete with that project. So more details will be coming soon on access to that, and opportunities to apply for our interest list for that site will be coming in the coming months. So please stay tuned for that. Next slide, please. I just wanted to also be sure that you all knew where to follow us and where to find more information. Please go to our website, westfresnocan.org. There's a tremendous amount of reports and surveys and summaries that have been prepared and documented there, videos as well, and other things to highlight and document the planning work that has been going on with the California Avenue neighborhood planning work. We are excited about the things to come as well. Stay tuned on our social media as well to find out what's happening and when the next community meetings will be. We are definitely available to answer any questions that you might have for us in this setting on this platform or via email. Be happy to connect myself or my team with you. So anyway, any questions, I definitely welcome them again, and please feel free to read time. Thank you so much again for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany, for that great presentation. We'll move on to Artie Padilla. He is part of the Central Valley Community Foundation. He's also a Transform Fresno Outreach and Oversight Committee member, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about some drive initiatives.
Before we move on, I do have a question just about the housing density for that last development.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious, what's the housing density for those? What is the zoning and what's the density there? How many units, how many folks are we expecting?
We don't have that finalized as of yet. We're actually working through that right now. And so being that we're in this kind of conceptual phase of seeing what works and what's possible, also, as I mentioned earlier, what is financially feasible, a lot is still unknown at the moment. Our current existing units that are there in the footprint right now, specifically as outlined in the map. And I don't think we can go back to that map, but you can find it on our website when you look at our housing sites. Right now, we have 228 units of housing. We do intend to increase that. We just have not decided at what level, what density as of yet. So we still have to work with the city. We still have to work within our real estate plan department. We definitely want to be sure that we work with our policymakers and investors as well to determine that. So that is still up in the air at the moment.
Thank you. I bring that up because part of what community has always said is that we don't want to see the same kinds of high density developments where people are really stacked, on top of each other. And so I'm hoping that that the density will reflect the community's desire for, as you said, different housing. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to Artie, and then just so everyone knows that we will definitely have a Q&A session at the end, but thank you for your question now. So go ahead, Artie.
Very good. All right. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to be sharing about the Drive initiative, which is a 10-year initiative here, focused here in the Central Valley and really primarily in Fresno. Courtney, you can go ahead and go to the map. This is Drive is broken up into 3 buckets of initiatives. So there's actually 15 different initiatives, all anchored either on neighborhood development, economic development, or human capital. And the human capital would be areas of like health and education. But with our neighborhood development, you'll see in Southwest Fresno, we have some focuses in the King and Lincoln elementary school neighborhoods on some very intentional community organizing that is focused on building connectivity with the residents. And we have Street Saints doing the work in King, and Jason Spencer and his Generation Changers doing the work in Lincoln. And they are building connections with the residents and other stakeholders in those neighborhoods, and then providing platforms of leadership development. So one of the goals in that civic infrastructure work with those 2 neighborhoods is really lifting up the voice and power of the residents, so that they are really guiding the work and advocacy in their own neighborhoods. So those 2 organizations have just started that work this year, and we'll be doing some participatory evaluation work with the residents and the resident leaders, and really providing data dashboards for those two neighborhoods. Central Valley Health Policy Institute is coaching them on that work as well. So that's an anchoring part of our community engagement with civic infrastructure. You'll see that those bolded lines that cut down the spine of Fresno, that's Blackstone, that cuts into downtown, then goes east to the Ventura Kings Canyon corridor. And then you see this loop in Southwest Fresno. We're really looking at, that's another initiative called Opportunity Corridors. We're really looking at how do we invest in these corridors in areas of business development, housing, creating complete streets, and really wanting to invest along these corridors over the next 10 years. So the Blackstone Kings Canyon Ventura is really the queue line that we have in Fresno. This loop in Southwest Fresno was not really developed. We're really wanting to advocate for some type of higher frequency bus transit for Southwest Fresno, because we see this, as we heard from CAN, they're going to be doing a lot of development by Edison. We know with City College, there's going to be a lot of students along Church Avenue. And then we really want to do some work along the Elm corridor and you'll hear a little bit about what Drew presents later on. We see that as three anchoring areas for this high frequency transit path. So we're really wanting to do some advocacy in that area. You also see downtown as one of our focus areas for Drive. Downtown 2.0 is really just continuing the downtown revitalization. So we're working with the city of Fresno and organizations like Housing Authority, who is downtown, the Downtown Fresno Partnership. How do we support the businesses? How do we create more density in housing? How do we also take advantage of high-speed rail and the development of that future station and even build around that station? So those are some of our anchoring areas in downtown Fresno. Some of the other areas that also impact people from the Drive initiative, we have an initiative called Betting Big on Small Business that the Black Chamber is leading up. And they have cohorts throughout the year where we really want to have a lot of our Southwest Fresno residents that have maybe an entrepreneurial mindset or have a business idea to get in those cohorts and maybe launch a business and then maybe even place it somewhere downtown or in Southwest Fresno. Another one that's currently going on with other cohorts is what we call Career Nexus. And that is really focused for individuals that actually have some employment barriers that they can work with, and they actually give them some training and empowering, and then they provide them paid internships at businesses here in Fresno for them to get some work experience in different areas. So that's another area where we could actually start funneling these interns into the Career Nexus pathway and hopefully get them on a trajectory of getting a higher paying job. One of the other ones that are actually anchored in Southwest Fresno, and I didn't note it on the map here, was Next Gen Aviation. That's anchored out of Chandler Airport. What that is doing is working with high school students, actually middle school and high school students, and they have these flight simulators at Chandler and actually at Edison Computech, where students can actually take these simulator classes, and it really tests them and provides some insights on how well they might become pilots, and it exposes them to that field. So there's actually some electronic planes at Chandler Airport that the students can actually start taking lessons on, because what's happening in the United States is we're going to be seeing a shortage of pilots over the next 5 to 7 years because they're going to be retiring. So, and traditionally pilots have been about 96% white. So we want to have some people of color getting trained and really tap into the populations of Southwest Fresno. So I really wanted to highlight that, because any of our kids in Edison Computech, Gaston, Edison High School can really start looking at what this could look like and start getting involved in that program right now, because that's anchored out of Chandler Airport. So those are just a few of the initiatives. There are some others, but a lot of them are more regional. And then Keith is going to be talking about our F3 initiative when he shares out, but that's also one of our drive initiatives, but he's really a lead on that. So I'm really wanting him to share more about that and how it relates to Southwest Fresno. I think that's it for me.
Great. Thank you, Artie. Okay, moving on, we'll go ahead and I'll introduce Sophia Pagoulatos from the City of Fresno. She's one of our planning managers in the Planning and Development Department, and she's going to talk to us about brownfields and planned housing development. Sophia?
Yes, thank you, Courtney, and hello, everyone. Artie, I apologize. I am not Drew, and I'm covering for Drew tonight. So I will do my best. It's great to be hearing all the other presenters, and I know the goal of this meeting was to try and really look at the map and see where we've got overlap, where some critical mass is occurring, and I think that's really exciting. So one of the programs that our department is running is a Brownfields program. It is a program that is funded by the EPA, and it's called a community-wide assessment grant, is what I'm discussing this evening. And that program funds phase 1 and phase 2 site assessments if there is contamination or suspected contamination on a site or in a building. And I should probably take 2 steps back and just talk about what is a brownfield. And a brownfield can be a vacant site or a vacant building that is potentially contaminated with some kind of environmental contamination. And even if it isn't actually contaminated, many of the sites have been they've been vacant for so long that they need to be tested, to make sure that they are free of contaminants. So the idea of this program is that a site not only would get tested and potentially cleaned up, but that work would then go on to leverage the community vision for that site. So these funds there's a community, a coalition that oversees how these funds are spent. And the idea is to focus the funds on sites that are important to the community. So what you can see on this map are the funds in the TCC project area, or the sites, that have received Brownfields funding for either assessment or cleanup. And I'll start from the south and just work my way up on this map. I know it's a little small print, maybe a little hard to see, but the large pink near Jensen and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard is the Martin Luther King Project Park that has had it's having a phase 1 and a phase 2 site assessment, which means it's being analyzed to see if there is any contamination there, and if so, what the cleanup would entail. Then moving over to Elm Avenue, the little square there is St. Rest and St. Rest Baptist Church, and that church has been in the process of developing a number of facilities that serve the surrounding community, and the Brownfield funds are funding remediation of a building that will be used for food distribution, and Keith can talk more about that, I'm sure. Then moving along to California Avenue, you see the triangle site there. That is one of the opportunity sites within the CAN neighborhood plan that Tiffany was just describing, and that one is in line for assessment to see what needs to be done, if anything, for environmental assessment. And then if you go all the way to the northern corner up there on the map on Broadway, at 1955 Broadway, there is an impact athletic center there that received some funding. So that's what our Brownfield funds are up to in the community at this time. Want to go to the next slide, Courtney?
Sophia, what's the impacted facility up north?
That one is 1955 Broadway. It is also on the entitlement list, being developed as a backup or a gym, an additional gymnasium space for the community. And I have a photo of it in a minute so that you can see it. And that was for cleanup, phase 1, phase 2. All righty, so what we tried to do then is layer on either planned or constructed housing developments that have occurred in 2021. So I have to caveat this information in that it's just from 2021. There could be some projects in the pipeline that got in the pipeline before 2021 and are still going through their permitting process. But in general, what you can see here is that the small dots, the round dots, are single family constructed, and we do have a number of single family, either modifications or even some new single family homes being constructed. And then the starred projects are multifamily projects. And those, I'm sure many of you are familiar with. If you look at the very bottom of this slide, there's sort of a cluster of stars there, and that's on Annandale. That's the Annandale Commons project by Self-Help Enterprises. It has continued construction this last year with the single family portion of that project. And then we have, if we go all the way up to where you can see the Highway 99 sign there on B Street. There are a couple of projects that have been constructed. There's a 15-unit multifamily but very small scale project that was constructed there, as well as 4 single-family homes that were constructed by Habitat for Humanity. So I think we can move on. And this was just adding the commercial permits that were in the pipeline. The red triangle down on Elm Avenue is a proposed restaurant in an existing building. And then the blue asterisk way up top on the Broadway site is the planning approval for that athletic facility there. So it's an athletic training facility. So, and then I just have some photos. This is the 15-unit multifamily project that's on B Street in the 1500 block. And then you can go ahead to the next one. This is just a little bit further north on B Street, 1700 block. There's 4 single-family homes that have completed construction. And then this is the Impact Center, which I believe is also a religious facility and a gym. Artie, you may know more about it, or Keith, but there it is. So that's what I had for show and tell this evening.
Thank you, Sophia. Okay, moving on to Keith Bergthold from Fresno Metro Ministry. He's going to talk to us about the Southwest Fresno food ecosystem. Keith?
Hey, thanks very much. I really appreciate all these reports. I guess you can move to the next slide. So just so everybody knows, we got our building permit for the warehouse renovation last Thursday, March 3rd. Very happy to say that it's under demolition now. And we are full speed ahead for construction of the reconstruction of the warehouse as a food logistics platform at St. Rest. And we're hoping to submit our plans for entitlement of that new building on the left next week, and maybe even tomorrow. So we're going through the process. So we will have the warehouse done based on this schedule by late July or early August. and we'll be actually using that facility while the second building's under construction. It should hopefully start construction by August and be available next, March or April. So we're going full speed ahead. We're still raising money. The cost of this complex went up $700,000 in the last 3 months. So unfortunately, inflation and building materials and labor all are continuing to go up with this really massive inflation. So but we're going for it. We're going to get it done. It's all happening. So we appreciate everybody's support. Next slide. By the way, this is a piece that we used, and thank you, Central Valley Community Foundation, to keep pitching and making sure we're raising money to cover inflation and all these other costs and finish out our financing plan. You can go to the next slide. And, maybe just a little bit more down at the bottom. I think people have kind of seen this. Is that the bottom of it, Courtney? Maybe that's it. So anyway, you can kind of see we're making progress, and this is going to be a fantastic facility. It'll be debt-free, stewarded by the St. Rest Baptist Church for the benefit of the community. There'll be cooking skills classes, a commercial kitchen to support vendors. They'll have the food recovery and healthy food distributions to meet just tons of needs that are just continuing to grow in our neighborhoods and our communities across Fresno and including Southwest Fresno. So next slide. We are lucky. I think the Central Valley Community Foundation saw the value of this food hub at St. Rest, and they included us in the F3 initiative, which includes an amazing innovation hub down on Fulton called iCreate that will also probably house, some food vendors and things like that. This is a relationship between UC Merced, Fresno State. It includes just this amazing ag tech workforce initiative, small farm innovation, business loans, and it will include that trail that TCC's been working on in Southwest Fresno to connect downtown to that part of the area. But I think really importantly, if you go to the next slide, at least for those of us that really believe in food hubs, we're being connected as one of the first network hubs in a larger system for Fresno and the Valley. So if you can see down in the lower right-hand corner, we connect into the small farm innovation process that connects to iCreate. There's a whole talent development aspect, this ag tech workforce contribution. And this is really to lift up the San Joaquin Valley and our part of the San Joaquin Valley as being the place where you want to innovate and improve the technology for food so that we can actually have higher paying jobs and lead the nation like we should, not only just producing food, but being able to process it and use it to benefit everybody. But this also includes this equity component where we'll have these food hubs, and hopefully there'll be one downtown at some point, where we support local food vendors, mobile vendors, our small kind of entrepreneurs who really need support. Cultiva La Salud is leading on sort of a La Cocina concept. And it's just a great partnership. And I just kudos to Central Valley Community Foundation and all they're doing to bring the local, smaller food system into the context of the larger food system. So F3 is great stuff, and it's going to be supporting a lot more food hubs like St. Rest Food to Share Hub. So next slide. So one of the way these things kind of connect around, not only food enterprise, but also food insecurity. We've been part of a larger process to help launch a Fresno County Food Policy Council. That has a lot to do with technology. This is about the urban footprint new tool called the Food Security Index, and it will be used to actually measure levels of food insufficiency and food insecurity down to the census block group level every 2 weeks. But what it's really done is it's helped us begin this whole idea of food policy councils, helped us through Artie's leadership, I want to say, starting to convene people in Southwest Fresno. You can go to the next slide. And we're trying to create a sense of a food policy council in Southwest Fresno. So there'd be this Southwest Fresno ecosystem that includes gardens, includes food hubs, includes all the distribution, includes the community schools and things like that. And 3 different convenings have occurred, one in October, one in November, and then one just this last week was just amazing.
Let me have you press pause really quick.
Sure.
One of the shortcomings that we've seen as we've housed, thousands of homeless residents is our ability to provide them a quality meal. It costs quite a bit of money. They're being fed by Pagoulatos House with limited resources. So in this work, how do you guys envision redirecting the food waste that goes from schools into folks who actually need it that we're now responsible for housing. Where in that process can the city rely on this network to provide us meals for the homeless that we otherwise have to pay out of pocket for?
Well, I think we would have to make that a priority into the system, council member. And part of it would be, how do we distribute food? And right now we distribute it through churches and community-based organizations and senior centers and youth centers that are actually already feeding people or providing food distributions and things like that. And I just think we need to integrate that work into this. Preparation of meals is a whole different concept. We've been able to deliver food in, containers and packaged foods and things like that to people, then take it home. But I'd certainly be willing to sit with you and anybody else and figure out how we could conquer that as well. But right now, we're getting all the food that we collect to people that are using it through their church or their community organization or whatever. So we just have to figure that out.
Yeah, because we're also being required by the state to divert more organic waste from the landfills. So I'm trying to wrestle with. I know schools are dumping a lot of lunches every day, thousands of lunches into the garbage can. We're not going to be able to do that anymore. Restaurants will be dumping food. So, and here we are paying for, meals and trying to provide, fiber bars because we can't afford a full meal for the homeless.
I think it's a great topic for us to have a lot of conversations about. And we are collecting a lot of food from schools. I think we're going to put millions of pounds of food through the St. Rest Food to Share Hub, and a lot of that will be from schools. We're only at 28 schools. There's 94 with food service just in Fresno Unified. So there's a lot of multiplication here that we can figure out how to get to the right people who need it the right way. And this food ecosystem work in Southwest, I think, has brought up a lot of issues. We have a lot of people in Southwest Fresno that don't have transportation to and from food distributions. They can't carry all the food they need on the bus or walk with it. So we're going to be wanting to look at maybe some innovative transportation ideas. Maybe we could create some kind of clean mobility, direct food delivery to people, do more cooking demos at distributions, provide a greater variety of foods like breads and meats and eggs and cheese to people that aren't getting those in the distributions, so they're not getting the nutrition levels they need. They ask us to be a little more engaged with residents, and we think we are, but less transactional about just delivering food to people. So also thinking about, prepared meal boxes and HelloFresh style boxes and more nutrition education, like our cooking skills and cooking matters classes, and also getting people more engaged in growing food. So there's a lot of topics that are bubbling up through community engagement. Again, I want to thank Artie for convening these groups. It's given us probably 10 issues that we need to work on, in addition to something like the councilman's brought up. How do we get a lot of this recovered food maybe to people who who need it, that we haven't even been able to provide food to? So there's a lot of work here. There's a lot of work here around food. I think we're making great progress, and I believe the maybe end where I started, the St. Rest Food to Share Hub is going to be an amazing facility for this community once it gets rolling. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Keith. So I did want to thank everybody for all your wonderful presentations. So before we open it up for questions, I wanted to point everyone's attention to this map. Although it's not to scale, I did want to highlight the project areas that were talked about. I took the base of the Transform Fresno map and I identified the infrastructure projects in dark green. So you'll see those throughout the map. Some of the Transform Fresno projects don't have a specific location, such as our workforce projects and our solar projects. So not all TCC projects are located on this map, but a good number of them are. Next, I want to point out the California Neighborhood project, and that area is outlined in red. And then the drive project areas, specifically in downtown Fresno, is identified by the big purple circle. The food ecosystem that Keith just talked about is identified by the blue circle, specifically around the Kirk, King, and Lincoln Elementary School boundaries. And then the brownfields that Sophia talked about are located in the brown shapes and that were similar to her map. And then the multifamily housing developments are identified by all the pink stars. Those are both under construction and pre-construction phases. And then finally, the commercial locations are identified on there by the orange 4-point stars. So just kind of putting it all together to see what is happening within this Transform Fresno area footprint. It's pretty exciting stuff. So I was really glad that we were able to put all of this together and kind of inform the community about everything. Not everything. This is obviously not everything that's happening, but some of the major projects that we're all working together on. So at this time, we'll go ahead and open it up for Q&A. So again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. And when I call your name, you'll be allowed to unmute yourself. And then if you are on a phone, please use *9 to raise your hand virtually, and I will go ahead and call on you. So first, let's go to Keith, and we'll take our panelist questions first.
I just forgot to mention that we really need to be working together on some sort of a healthy food grocery store model, and Elm Avenue would be a great place to put it, close to the St. Rest Baptist Church, simply because that's the middle of a food desert. And I think there are opportunities through this Drive Initiative, F3, and a whole bunch of other collaborative work to maybe raise the kind of resources we need for a real healthy food grocery store with price points that would be meaningful to residents in Southwest Fresno. I'll just leave it at that.
Great, thank you, Keith. Any other panelists have questions for anyone?
Hi, can you hear me, Courtney?
Yeah, go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah, so, I had a question about some Brownfield stuff. That might lead to more questions, but we could take it offline if it gets too, yeah. But I do want to say, Keith, whatever Keith's doing right now, that's absolutely amazing. So that's really good to see. But for the Brownsfield thing, I didn't see in Chinatown that there was a Brownsfield done on Mariposa and F, catty corner from Monarch, that the Housing Authority is building. But that has become like a homeless encampment, and I don't know. I've only heard good things about what Brownsfield can do because they're going to clean up, But what happens to the property? Do they let it get treated as if it's like a state property or something that they can't enforce any of the laws, I guess? Because it'd be a shame to see the Monarch open and have the biggest homeless encampment in Chinatown or even downtown be catty corner from the Monarch. So is that a tough question?
I think probably I'm not quite sure what your question is. Is that a site that has received EPA Brownfields funds for cleanup? Is that your question, or?
Because the only one that I know of is that there was a PG&E property. It went through some Brownsfield already. While they were doing the Brownsfield stuff, they had it very, very secure. But now it's just wide open, and there's at least double-digit amount of tents there. And we just had a big fire in Chinatown that tore down a historic building, and and most people are assuming that it was homeless people that did it. And the fact that the only place that I know that a Brownsfield has happened is now a homeless encampment. So
right.
is that something?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Has happened before? Or is
it the goal of using the Brownfields funds is to use them to prepare a property for development that the community has already had input on, like the food to share, for example. That's a perfect example, or the MLK Park And so this one, I know that that site definitely has a role to play in Chinatown. I don't know the complexities of your questions, but I bet myself and my colleague, Pastor Lewis, could probably look into that for you and respond.
I do know that
Okay.
that is private property. I believe it's PG&E owned property, and they have been notified. So I think they're looking into it.
Okay, that's good to know.
So the city of Fresno had nothing to do with helping, or whatever initiative is going on right now to have help from the city identify those lands. That didn't, whatever PG&E didn't pass through you guys?
I don't know, Morgan. I'd have to look it up. We can talk if you want. We can follow up tomorrow, and I'd be happy to run it down for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the panel? If not, we'll move on to the attendees. And just so everyone knows, we also do have a Q&A portion. So if you don't feel comfortable speaking out loud, feel free to write it in the Q&A and we'll get to that as well. Mrs. Curry?
I'd like to know how much funds did you receive to do the cleanup for Brownfields?
We have, hello, Ms. Curry.
Hi.
Hi. We have two different funds. So we have the grant that is targeted to the TCC project area. It's called a community-wide assessment, and those are about $600,000. And then we also were able to secure a revolving loan fund that has, I believe, more citywide scope, and it was for $800,000. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move over to the attendees. So let me get there. And Erica, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi there. I had a question for Mr. Padilla, just about the flight school. Was that only for high school students, or were you accepting older students?
Yeah, great question. So it's middle school and high school. And I believe they go up to 20 years old. But Erica, if you put your email in the chat, I will follow up and email you back tomorrow.
Okay, great. And then I also was just wondering with Mr. Bergthold, if it sounds like you guys are doing some really awesome stuff. I was wondering how we could connect with you to possibly try to help out.
That'd be great. I'd really love for you to connect. You can email me, and if you give Artie your email. Then we also want to engage the St. Rest Economic Development Corporation in this. They're going to be doing a lot of outreach, and there's going to be a lot of programming. We'll be actually convening some people here in March. Love for you to sit in on the convening and provide some input on programming.
Sounds great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Debbie?
Good evening, everybody. Debbie Darden, a resident here in West Fresno. A couple of questions here. My first question is, I know I had been sitting as part of this outreach on going and rallying for this college. So, and I know one of the things we were really engaged in on the art features in regards to the waterfall. So I'd like to know, I think I missed part of the slide, but it stated that Teresa Flores is in charge of, is that the art part? And want to know how, what background does this person have in regards to the deep history here in West Fresno? And if that's going to be a part of when they have this discussion, community discussion, and how will you go about making sure people are going to be engaged in this process?
Yeah, so Teresa is actually the artist that was chosen. I'm not exactly sure how they chose the artist, but it was a art competition. And so, excuse me, she was chosen. She's going to be doing some outreach into the community and holding some sessions to explain about what the art project is going to be about and take nominations for people in West Fresno that have had an impact on West Fresno. I think she's trying to do some type of mosaic of faces. And so you'll have an opportunity to make a nomination or things like that. So Debbie, I can send you that save the date information. They haven't chosen a date right now of when those sessions are going to be, but when those do happen, you will get emails about it. They're going to do some outreach for that so they can get a good amount of people involved and get their input.
Okay, please do.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Thank you. And then my next question, the slides that came, I think Sophia was speaking in regards to those, the apartment complex on B Street. I have pulled that up, and so are all those market rate? Because I see that there's 2 bedrooms, 2 bath running $1650, and then there's 3 bedrooms, 2 bath running $1850 a month. Are all of those market rate apartments?
Hello, Debbie. I believe they are, but I would have to double check.
Okay, I pulled up the website. I don't see anything about affordable housing. So I was just curious in regards to that. And then I just wanted to find out, when you do comparables in this area, is that feasible as far as when being built over here for 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, $1850 a month?
Debbie, when the city doesn't really set rents or monitor the rents when it's a private developer that's building the project. So I would, if they've done their market research, they probably think that they can get the rents that they're charging.
And then on the houses that you demonstrated there, I know I've seen those up. I don't see any for sale signs posted on those houses. Are those houses vacant or are they on the market?
I believe they're occupied already.
Okay, they are already occupied.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Debbie. All right. Janice? Oops. Go ahead, Janice.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're at 1727 L Street, and I understand that there's a multifamily development that's going on behind us. I know part of Transform Fresno was included something about notifying neighbors and such, but I don't know that that's actually come to fruition. But we are curious as to what is going on Van Ness directly behind us.
Hi, Janice.
Hi.
Yes, we do have noticing requirements that are also associated with different projects. However, some housing projects that are within the downtown are able to be developed if they comply with all the zoning and everything. They're able to be developed without doing public notification. And I can tell you more about that if you'd like. If you want to leave your contact information in the chat, I can pull up the project plans and share those with you, share anything that's been submitted to us with you. Don't have those at my fingertips at this minute.
I'd appreciate that so much. Thank you. I will do that.
Great. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on to Mrs. Curry.
Yes, I want to go back to something that Debbie asked about the artists for City College, for the City College project. And what I'd like to know is if the person has already decided that they want faces, what are they going to ask the community about? If they've already made a decision, it seems, at least I think it should probably have happened to get the community involved. And maybe you did and we didn't know about it.
They haven't chose the faces, they've just chosen the artist. So they've chosen the artist based on that competition. And now they're
Tell me about the competition. That's what I want to know about.
Yeah, the competition was held by Fresno City College, or State Center Community College. I don't know all the details of that
Okay.
competition, but I do know that they held a lengthy art competition
Mhm.
and ultimately chose that artist.
I guess my concern is when you started talking about faces, if they're going to have some community input, it may be that the community would like to have something to say about whether it's faces or something else. So if that's still open, or if the person has already made a decision.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if they have really solidified what if they're going to have faces or something else. I'm sure they'd be open to it. That's what the community sessions are going to be about. They're going to discuss the project at length, and get some nominations and get some community input.
Well, that's my question, but that's the best you can do with it. It's okay.
Yeah, there's still more to come on that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you. Miss Sabrina?
Yes, thanks, Courtney. This is in the same vein of Mother Curry's question about, the artist and community engagement. I didn't know about the art competition. That would have been great for us to learn about, but also wondering if we could be included in any communication that goes out about, the community meetings about the art concept and what faces. As we know, Southwest Fresno historically has been a landing space for folks from various cultures and backgrounds. I just want to make sure cultural and historical representation is accurate. So yeah, if we can be included as well, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. All of those notices for those community sessions will be sent out. So if you got a notice for this community meeting, you will get that notice. All right. Any other questions?
I have one more. I'm wondering, can we bring the artist to this space to kind of talk about, maybe have some grounding questions, and talk with her maybe to learn more about the competition, and maybe see what she submitted for the competition, just so we are all familiar with the artist, because this is a lot of the work in Southwest Fresno is really personal to a lot of people, and maybe having the conversation with the artist, just like a showcase, just like meet the artist, I think would be really great, and probably, informative for residents who want to know what the possibility of art could look like, and just kind of feel like community has had some way into the conversation. Is that possible?
Yeah, I think that's possible. I will let the project partners know, State Center Community College, and I think we can invite the artists to the next community meeting, and then have a bigger conversation around that for sure. I will do that.
Awesome, thanks.
You're welcome. All right. If no one else has, let me check the Q&A session before I get off that. LaRonda Sewell, is there an initiative for rent control in Fresno? I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I'm assuming it's about the Here to Stay report and some of those policy recommendations. Right now, nothing has been decided. That will be heard by City Council, that Here to Stay report and the policy recommendations. have gone through an anti-displacement task force. They've gone through planning commission, and they will be heard at a city council meeting in April. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, feel free to raise your hand. Sylvia Trujillo asks, will there be more opportunities to build more Habitat for Humanity housing, or what were these the only ones planned? That's a great question. I'm not sure where Habitat for Humanity is at this point. I don't know if Sophia, if you have more information on future Habitat plans.
You know, I don't, but I do have something I forgot to mention in my report, which was Self-Help Enterprises is actually working on their planning. I saw on the CAN map 33 single-family housing units, and since they are self-help enterprises, I'm going to guess that some of those might be self-help type of arrangements, and we can follow up if you would like more specific information.
All right. That is all the questions in the chat. And if we have no other questions, we can go ahead and close out this meeting and adjourn it at 7:17. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. Our next community meeting will be the second Wednesday in July, or I'm sorry, in June, second Wednesday in June. If you have any other questions or want to know more about Transform Fresno, please feel free to visit our website, www.transformfresno.com. There's information about all the projects and what's happening. So thank you all for joining, and have a great night. Bye-bye.